I have 7 p.m. If you'll join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, we will begin our meeting.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Jerry, can you hear us okay? Good. Welcome, everyone, to the extra board meeting this month. If you joined us before, we had our tax rate hearing, our annual tax rate hearing, and now we're having our regular meeting. And we will start that with a special guest. I'd like to welcome Eddie Madison, our coordinator of Health, PE, and Outdoor School, to introduce Jen Rogers with the American Heart Association.
Good evening, Ms. Stover, Dr. Marty, President Todd, Ms. Hopper, and the rest of the Board of Education. Thank you for having me this evening. Tonight, I have the honor to introduce Jen Rogers from the American Heart Association. As you know, Parkway and the American Heart Association have a partnership that has lasted a very long time. And the impact the American Heart Association has on the Parkway School District community is twofold. Not only are the monies raised from the fundraising campaigns at each of the schools going back to our community for research and trainings to help save lives, it also goes back to our classrooms in that our students who are doing the fundraising reap the benefits of equipment from the American Heart Association by raising a minimum amount. And to tell us a little bit more about the American Heart Association and how great the Parkway School District did in the 2022 campaign is Jen Rogers from the American Heart Association.
Well, thank you for that great introduction. So he said it all. No, I'm kidding. Is my slides up on this one? Okay. So as you just heard, my name's Jen Rogers, and I have been working with you all now for 4 years, so it's an honor to be here again. So thank you for having me back. And once again, Parkway School District had an amazing year last year partnering with the American Heart Association. So this year, in 2024, we are excited to be celebrating our 100th anniversary, our 100th birthday of saving lives and making an impact in communities all around the country. And we are true champions for health equity, so we believe that everybody deserves the opportunity to live a full, healthy life. And so that's our goal, starting with your kindergartners, creating those healthy habits so they get that opportunity and as they get older. So the need is still there. The obesity rates are still rising. Mental health with your teenagers, 7 out of 10 teenagers have mental health issues. So the need for this education, resources, and awareness is still there. And heart disease is still the #1 cause of death. So that's why it's so important for us and that to be in your schools and that your schools accept us with open arms. So we're very, very thankful for that. So this slide shares a little bit of an overview of the impact that the Parkway School District had on the American Heart Association last year on our mission. So 100% of the families of the participating schools and the students receive that heart healthy education, and it's both heart health and mind health. So it's whole body and our whole child and health and wellness resources. We had 11 schools participate, almost 900 students, and almost 160 students and their families learned the life-saving skill of hands-only CPR. So we're going to continue to work on that and grow that number every single year. So you all are part of a bigger picture, and you are a huge part of the impact right here in the state of Missouri. So those are the numbers that you can see that we have funded almost $11 million in the last 5 years of heart and stroke research. And over 14,000 students participated in the state of Missouri in our program, and over 144,000 have been educated about hands-only CPR. So we're creating communities of lifesavers out there, and that's what we want to continue to do here in the Parkway District. So this is a quick overview of the district and the schools that participated. They raised an amazing $80,000 this year, bringing them to #3 in the state of Missouri, in this #3 district. And it added to your lifetime contribution and brought it over $1.3 million over the lifetime that we've been working together. So thank you so much for all that you do. Dr. Marty and Eddie, they are a wonderful asset and help me out a lot to show their support for the American Heart Association. So we're going to celebrate some successes. As I said, Parkway was the #3 district in the state of Missouri. Shenandoah was #16 in the state of Missouri and #1 in Parkway. Piermont had their best year ever by raising $4,000 over previous year, so they rocked it out this year. They got the jump rope team to come and perform for their kickoff, so I think that really helped. And then the kids were out there trying to do what they saw, so it was pretty exciting. We had a few nominees in our Missouri Hardies this year. Nicole and Mitch over at Shenandoah, they were new to the PE program over there, so were nominated for Rookie of the Year. And above and beyond was Allison and Mitzi over at Piermont. They always do an amazing job, so hopefully I'm pulling for a win for them next year for sure. And we're also empowering future leaders. So this is a slide that talks about your students. We have a Kids Heart Challenge All-Star program in the Midwest states, and so it's in 13 states. So it's any student that raises over $500 becomes an all-star. So they get special thank you gifts, and then we do a couple experiences throughout the year that recognize them and thank them. Kind of a fun little evening. We do it virtually, and so they get to be a part of that and get recognized for their great work. We had 2 students, I don't know if you've heard of the O'Fallon Hoots, but it's out at the old Ozzie Smith complex in O'Fallon, Missouri, and there's an independent baseball team that plays during the summer. So Teddy at Barrett's and Ari at Piermont actually got to throw out the first pitch at those games, so they were pretty excited. If you can see those pictures, that's them right there. And then we had the 3-year All-Stars, so meaning they were All-Stars 3 years in a row, just to recognize those students as well. At Barrett's, you had Teddy again and Mason, and then McKelvey had Hannah and Harrison, and Piermont had Ari. So we're really proud of these students that's a hard feat. That's not an easy thing to raise over 500 3 years in a row. So basically, our goal is to get the American Heart Association's mission into every home in your district, all of your homes, and your students and families. And from there, they can choose how they want to fight heart disease and stroke. They might do it by raising donations, or they do it by learning hands-only CPR. It doesn't matter which they choose or how they go about it. Both will save lives and both will make a difference. So that is our goal, is to see if we can do that in the Parkway District. This year, just to highlight a couple of things, we are, along with our 100th year birthday, we're celebrating a legacy of Lifesavers. And Lifesavers goes back to teaching them the basics about hands-only CPR. And as they get bigger, they'll be able to do it and save a life as well. And some new things, I want to share with you the resources that we're bringing to your schools. All of our Heart Healthy messages are going to align with the Missouri and national state standards for health and PE. So it will help your PE teachers and your health teachers make sure that they are covering everything that they need to learn. That's what this program does for your schools. Another thing that we brought to life this year was Life Essential 8. We always had it for adults, but now they made it for kids. And so these are the messages that we're going to be sharing in your schools when we're having Kids Heart Challenge or Wellness Weeks, and how it's important for them to stay healthy and how they can fight heart disease and basically not need our help in the future. So that's something new this year. We are a research-based organization. We fund the research that comes to us. And so we have brought STEM resources into our program as well. We even have a heart hero named Spark, and he is all about STEM. So we created these for kids. They can literally build a heart model out of water bottles and straws to see how the blood flows through the heart and into the lungs and things like that. So these resources will also be offered to your teachers. And we can't forget about your staff. They're some of the hardest working group of people. Your teachers, they get tired or burnt out or stressed out. So we have a whole new line of resources for your staff well-being that I'll share with all of your principals that they can use anywhere from stress, keeping active, so they can be heart healthy too, to teach our children. And I'm gonna leave you with a video. And it's a great message that's a testimonial. It's from a mom and her son out of West Virginia. And it's a great testimonial as to how Kids Heart Challenge can impact you guys right here in your own community.
I was at church with my 5-year-old son Phil when we saw a man collapse.
I watch that, and it's just, this is the forefront of our message of having Kids Heart and American Heart Challenge in your elementaries all the way up through high school. Every student that of a participating school, all they have to do is register online, and they have access to this video and to learn this heart or this life-saving skill. So it doesn't even require a donation. So we want that out there in your community and to start. He's only 5. He knows he can't do the compressions, but he knew what to do. He was the first one that ran over there. So this is the impact that by your schools participating with Kids Heart Challenge that you're making in your own community. So on behalf of the American Heart Association, thank you so much for having me, for supporting us every year. I'm looking forward to another good year.
I just want to say Jen has just been a wonderful partner in the 4 years, and before that, we've certainly been having a relationship. But Jen is, every year comes in and meets with Eddie and I in the summer, and we're always excited to see those totals. We're still going to, one of these years, beat Fort Zumwalt and Rockwood. But we're happy with that amount. We're so proud of our students. We're getting closer, but no, besides, I mean, we're just proud of our students and proud of the opportunity. And Eddie, thanks for your leadership, too. You've done a great job in advocating with our staff.
Thank you both. Appreciate it. Okay, next up, we have a couple of additions, corrections, and/or modifications to the agenda. Those include 7.01, addendum to agenda item 11.07, approval of personnel items, and 7.02, addition of agenda item 11.21, approval of fiscal agent competency-based education grant. Next up is public comments. It's during this time that we provide an opportunity for citizen comments in an effort to maintain an open and respectful dialogue with our community. The public comment session is not the appropriate forum for addressing individually identifiable student and/or personnel matters. Therefore, due to privacy laws protecting students and employees, comments about these matters should not include personally identifiable information about the particular students or employees. Members of the public, staff, and students are encouraged to utilize established policies and procedures for offering suggestions or addressing concerns and complaints prior to bringing the issue before the board. Please be mindful that the meetings of the board, including your statements at the podium, are broadcast and that you are responsible for any public comments you make. In lieu of a public statement, you may choose to submit your comments to the board in writing. Also, due to time constraints and the need to complete the primary responsibilities of our meeting agenda, we cannot respond during the meeting, so you will receive a response from us in writing. We are always available to have an open dialogue outside of our meeting and can be reached by email or phone using the contact information on the Parkway website. Tonight, I believe we just have one speaker, Darlene Hockerself. And as you come to the podium, I'll let you know you have 3 minutes to share your message with us tonight. And if you could just, again, introduce yourself and mention your affiliation or connection to Parkway.
Absolutely. Good evening, Dr. Marty, Mr. Todd, Mrs. Hopper, and all esteemed members of the board. Thank you for having this meeting tonight. My name is Darlene Hockerself, and I am an 8th grade teacher over at West Middle School. And the reason I'm here tonight is to share some information with the board and superintendents about best practices for LGBTQ students. I know we want to do what's best for all students in Parkway, and I have some specific information that I'd like to share with the board and superintendents today. Last year, there were some new practices, well, new to me, that I noticed, and they were implemented in our school. And I ended up having some concerns, and I talked with my administrators, and we had great conversations. I'm one of the employees in the state of Missouri who's lucky enough to have great administrators who's willing to have a good dialogue about what's best for children. And I deeply appreciate the time that they have spent with me. I have zero complaints about that. I have no complaints at all, actually. I got all gratitude here. But something happened as a result of that conversation, not a Parkway thing. What I learned was that the state of Tennessee, as well as 18 other states, had gotten together and sued the Department of Education for a letter that was recommending that we should include sexual orientation and gender identity under Title IX protections. Now, forgive me that I didn't do my homework, but I was genuinely surprised by this. I did not know that Title IX was suspended. Injunction, I think, is the exact word I read. So my heart broke open with that. And since then, I've been asking questions, trying to initiate dialogue, trying to make sure that Me and my colleagues all understand best practices, and it's been growing swimmingly. So I'm here tonight to present a resource to the board, all superintendents. And this resource is from Learning for Justice, a School Climate, Best Practices for Serving LGBTQ Students. It's a guide, and if it's okay, I will send that to you in email because it's an electronic document. This is a quality resource for educators and administrators who are trying to do what's best for their students, be inclusive, and demonstrate respect for the LGBTQ community. So this guide covers topics such as policy, classroom culture, instruction, family and community engagement, and provides a school checklist. You can get great information on topics such as coming out, gender, and talking with parents, and yes, even sports. Parents and other community members, you may also like this resource. If you're interested in learning more about it, being around LGBTQ people and being inclusive, this might be a resource that would help with you. Next month, many will be celebrating Coming Out Day on October 11th. Many will not. For it is not safe yet for some people to be out. I would ask anyone who is listening and works with students or has children, please learn about this process of coming out to make safe spaces for children to be their most authentic selves. My Parkway email is available if you need any support, and I'll see you next month where I will talk more about coming out. Thank you very much.
Next up is the approval of our agenda. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for the regular meeting of the Board of Education as scheduled for September 27th, 2023.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Our next regular board meeting will take place on Wednesday, October 18th, 2023, beginning at 7 p.m. right here at the Parkway Welcome Center. Next up is board superintendent reports.
I'll just share one thing. I had the privilege of being the alternate member from Parkway to attend the Special School District Governing Council meeting on Monday. Debbie Hopper was unavailable, so it was my honor to be part of it. And it was a good reminder for me. I just want to kind of reiterate what the Special School District is doing in St. Louis, and the mere fact that there are 24,000 students that are part of the district, covering 22 districts. It's a complicated structure, but it's a unique structure, and I think it actually adds to the culture here at Parkway with their services they provide us and all other 21 districts in the region. And I think for Parkway, we always keep saying we're a destination district for families and for staff. I would also say for Special School District, they help us make an extra destination, because people are moving to St. Louis County to get those wonderful services they provide. And I think it's greatly an asset both for St. Louis County and for Parkway to have SSD as part of us.
Since the last board meeting, I was able to attend Central's homecoming football game, field hockey game at Parkway Central. And as a parent, I went to Green Trails Carnival. It just reminds me of all the different activities and athletic events that we have as a community. And I encourage everyone to take a look at what your school offers, what the district offers, and really take advantage of some of those activities, because they are wonderful to go to, whether you're a parent or a community member.
Yeah, for me, just sort of reiterating some of the things I said at the last meeting just a few weeks ago. I mean, still full of enthusiasm for the start of the year. Attended my kids' curriculum night last week, and exciting to see all the parents and the staff still full of all the excitement that goes with the beginning of the school year. And as a board, I'm excited for some of the heavy lifting that'll come towards us soon as we do some of our committee work and get down in the weeds and the details of governance for the school district. So just excited for the academic year.
Good evening, everyone. Yesterday, myself, Ms. Hopper, and Mr. Todd attended the Project Parkway, and Dr. Marty attended the Project Parkway Steering Committee here at the Welcome Center. I would say that Dr. Beckner and Dr. Holman-Best put us to work, as well as all of the other volunteers that are part of the steering committee as we continue to develop our vision of a learner in the Parkway District. And not just the vision of a learner, but also how we are going to support those learners in order to achieve that vision. It was a great workshop. I think we got a lot accomplished, and I'm also going to use this time to invite you to Project Parkway, which is tomorrow night at Central High School, 5:30. And I'm sure they're going to put us back to work again
But it'll be great because it will allow us to really focus on the next 5 years of how we want to grow this district and how we want to continue to be, as everyone likes to say, a destination district.
So this is our second board meeting of September, and it's tough to have enough material for 2 board meetings. So my theme tonight is things I did not participate in, but nevertheless appreciate. So community ed, there's just a lot of programs offered through community ed, and I want to talk about 2 of them. My wife began a sign language class last week, which was outstanding. It's just great that we can offer that. And my son participates in sports through the community ed, and that's great in and of itself. But what I hadn't thought through, but is really a wonderful byproduct of that, is he started 6th grade, the time the schools kind of come together, and it's hard, for kids. When 4 schools converge to sort of find their way, and he had the advantage of knowing kids from other schools because he participated in basketball with them, and I think that's great. Further things that I wasn't involved in, but my wife's involved with the Parkway PTO leadership, and they had a what's the word for it? Conference?
Leadership conference.
Leadership conference. I'm sure Jeff or one of my colleagues who actually went will have far more to say about than I do. But her feedback was all very positive. It's a good opportunity for the PTOs at various schools to get together and kind of share knowledge and experience and improve the programs.
Okay. And with that, I will share a community education program that I attended actually as a parent. Was the Rockwood Parkway College Fair, and I was very happy to see such a large attendance at Queenie Park for attending that. We have a sophomore daughter, and even though she thinks it's too early to be doing something like this, we're trying to make that encouragement to go out there and find your path in the world. So I greatly appreciated what Parkway and Rockwood do together in community education to put that together. It was very well attended, it seemed. The other item that I attended as a parent was a principal's coffee at West High School. And I greatly appreciated the input of the parents there and would encourage other parents as well. The one big question is, what can we do to help? We know that we have some staffing crises right now, and the principal and the assistant principals were very enthusiastic and grateful for that question, and they will be doing some thinking. So I encourage other parents to think about the same thing. What can you do to help your school during these times that we may need to just step up a little bit and spread some mulch or something? So we're going to try to help out there. On the school board level, I attended on September 18th the STL Board PLC, which stands for the St. Louis School Board Professional Learning Community. This is a group of representatives from most districts throughout St. Louis County to formulate a plan for bringing together all school board members throughout the St. Louis County. And the invitations are extended also to St. Charles County and Jefferson County as well. So I'm very honored to be a part of this planning committee, and there will be some Zoom meetings starting that I'd encourage some of our board members to attend. They will be focusing on legislative advocacy throughout St. Louis County that are very well helping to support public education and work with our legislators to try to do what's best for public education in the pre-K through 12 categories. And then I want to emphasize also attending the steering committee last night for Project Parkway. This is a huge endeavor, a very important endeavor, and I've greatly appreciated being on the very first time that Project Parkway got started a number of years ago, and it's continuing on, and it's still going strong, but we need the community to help us focus on what our vision for a learner should be and the commitments that our school district are going to provide. So I look forward to going to the community meeting tomorrow night as well. And one of our tasks on the steering committee is to host some network groups. So if there's anybody out there who would like to be invited to a meeting, a small group, focus group meeting, please reach out to me on the Parkway website, and I would be happy to include you in my focus group and welcome any individuals to come so we can talk and work through the matters that we want to work through at Project Parkway.
Thank you. I too will echo the importance of Project Parkway tomorrow night. I assume, Dr. Marty, you have a couple of tidbits you're going to share with us about who might be addressing.
Yes, I can do that. I will do
Okay.
that.
And Kevin mentioned PTO Leadership Conference. I actually have your wife's name in my notes here because I was going to thank her for participating, and she and the other team of PTO leadership chairs that run that organization. As I've told a couple of different groups, I've been thoroughly impressed with how many people have turned out for these meetings. The last couple of ones have been just, I think almost every school has been represented and by multiple people. So it's great to see so many people investing in their school communities. Just yesterday, I attended the Mayors and City Administrators Conference or group with Dr. Marty. We host them several times a year, and it's just good to hear what's going on in different municipalities and share what's going on in Parkway with the leaders of those municipalities. And we even had a county council person, Ms. Dunaway, join us. So that was nice. We had a really broad spectrum of people from across Parkway. Also want to give a shout out to Dr. Piccini and the staff at Piermont Elementary. Piermont was recently named a Blue Ribbon School, one of only 8 this year in the state of Missouri. And it brings us to, I think, 17 or 18 now here in Parkway.
Maybe close to 20, I think, maybe.
Close to 20. And you achieve the Blue Ribbon status by your overall academic performance and progress in closing achievement gaps. And so it's quite an accomplishment. I know Dr. Piccini and her staff have been working very hard the last several years to recognize this honor. And then Project Parkway obviously is tomorrow, so that's in the future. I have one other thing in the future. Next Monday, October the 2nd, is National Custodians Day. So I know many people throughout the district appreciate the custodians that work in their buildings. We talk a lot about how we want kids to have a trusted adult in the building, and oftentimes those are teachers. But I know of a couple of custodians who are trusted adults for several kids. And I think it's great that they feel so comfortable with our kids that our kids rely on them to be important people in their lives as well. So I just can't thank them enough for all the work they do in our buildings, and I know we have several schools, a number of schools that plan on recognizing them. So if you have a custodian that you want to recognize some way, there's a way to do it through the Parkway website or in any other way you choose. And that's all I've got.
Well, thank all of you. You kind of took my list apart, which is good, because September was pretty busy, so thank all of you. I will say that, speaking of Piermont, several of us had the opportunity to go over to Piermont after school day and celebrate with the staff. And they actually had cookies with the blue ribbon cookies that we were able to devour. I'm sorry I didn't bring one for you, Jeff. So speaking of that, Piermont is going to be recognized, as Jeff said, as one of our 8 Missouri schools and then schools from around the country in November in Washington, D.C. And then we'll probably in December celebrate them here at a board meeting because, as Jeff said, that's quite an accomplishment. And as Jeff said, the blue ribbon is really recognizing achievement of all students, particularly the subgroup area where sometimes we struggle. And so they're recognizing being one of the 8 schools in Missouri that have really substantially done a great job in recognizing all students. So that was our celebration today with the staff at Piermont. Another thing that happened this last month was we did have a tailgate party at South High School back on September 14th with all our partners, and particularly our sports marketing partners, but others that joined us. And it was a great night, and we're so blessed to have some really wonderful partners that really support us in many ways. And so we're very happy to do that. As Jeff said, tomorrow night, Project Parkway, we would like to have you all there. Bring friends, neighbors, relatives, people that you could bring. Ray McNulty, who has been in the district here and was here last night at the steering committee meeting, and he's in our school today. Tomorrow, he's been going and being part of some innovative programs. For example, today he was at Central Middle School Academies, which is a new initiative. He's going to be at Spark tomorrow. And so he's really encouraging some new adventures in terms of how we're dealing with real-life learning and competency-based, and also making sure we're reaching all students and thinking about their future. So his message tomorrow night, in conjunction with what we're all doing here is really challenging us to look at this future. What are we doing, and what can we do in Parkway to make sure that all students are ready for, a career, for a job, but life in terms of the changes that students are going to be experiencing. And so it's really understanding the change in the world that we're around. And Ray speaks all over the country, all over the world with educational groups, and I always think to me is a wonderfully motivational speaker. So Ray will be with us tomorrow night, plus we'll be put to work, as was mentioned by Kevin and Tiffany. Last Saturday, and Dr. Holman Bess and Dr. Lucas hosted our VIC students, our volunteer transfer students and families at the City Museum. And I think they had a wonderful turnout. This has been on hold for several years because of the pandemic, so they had a wonderful opportunity. And I think Tiffany used the opportunity to gather some information from that group about our future. So they did a little exercise like we've been doing at some of our Project Parkway work, thinking about the future. We have a new OASIS. OASIS, just a little plug for OASIS, is a volunteer, a senior volunteer program. Plus, they do a number of other things, but particularly as it relates to schools. We have a new coordinator, Ken Prebish. I had a chance to meet him. I just want to put a plug in because the COVID decreased the number of volunteers that we've had in our schools, and we're trying to build that program up. But the OASIS program is a way for seniors or others who are approaching that time of their life to come into our schools, assist with literacy and helping young people, but also an intergenerational opportunity to, for our students to relate to other adults. So again, a little plug for that program, and it's been in Parkway over 40 years, so I think we're pretty fortunate to have these volunteers over many years. I had a chance, I was in Chicago last week at our Midwest Superintendent's Conference, and I will just say, and I told you this a lot, when I go to those conferences, I'm always proud of being in Parkway, and there was a lot of suburban superintendents from the Midwest, and a lot of good things going on, but I'm very, very proud to, again, always be representative of Parkway and the work we're doing and share some of that work with others. Coming up is the Mayor's Cup game. Put this on your calendar, especially you, Jeffrey, because it's going to be at Central, and it's West and Central. We have now had, I think, probably over a half dozen years, probably 8, 9 years, we've had the Mayor's Cup game. It's all West versus Central. It's always a great opportunity and a lot of spirit around that game. And so I'm not going to repeat, but I was very, very proud of, as was mentioned, of the PTO work, and also some of the, Jeff mentioned the mayor's city administrators meeting yesterday. It was just a great meeting, great discussion. It was great to have Kelly Dunaway, who's by the way of Parkway Parents, who's on the city, was on the council, join us. And so it's really great to partner with our municipalities and for them to hear us and our work, and for us to listen to them and the challenges they have. So it was just a wonderful meeting. So a lot going on, and as we're ready to move into another month here, we've had a really good September, good start of the school year.
Thank you. Okay, next up, our consent agenda is relatively light tonight. We've all had an opportunity to review that. So may I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented in the September 27th, 2023 board materials?
So moved.
Second.
Is there anything to be pulled to action or closed? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries 7-0. Next up, we have an action item, and that is the adoption of the tax rate for 2023-2024. For those of you who were here earlier, we heard Ms. Bedborough address us in detail about the tax rate for the coming year. And at this time, does anyone have any questions for Mrs. Bedborough? No? Okay. You're off the hook.
I think, I do want to say, and I think the board agrees, Patty and by the way, did Dawn leave?
She left.
Oh, she had leave.
She went home.
Oh, yeah, but Patty and her department have done a great job once again, and we're in good, really good financial shape, and a lot of it has to do with Patty and her wisdom, her experience, and her leadership in the district. So I think, again, I'm so appreciative that we have Patty and her wisdom and her leadership over so many years now.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, may I have a motion and a second that the Board of Education adopt the tax rates by category as presented above in the blended tax rate for the Parkway School District for 2023-2024 in the amount up to a blended rate of $3.7885 to be distributed with a special revenue fund rate of $2.1130, general fund rate of $1.1378, capital projects rate of $0.0477, and debt service fund rate of $0.4900.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please, Nikki.
Mrs. Hopper,
Yes.
Ms. Matt Franklin,
Yes.
Mr. Reedy,
Yes.
Mr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. Seltzer,
Yes.
Mr. Spector,
Yes.
Mr. Todd.
Yes, motion carries 7-0.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Patty. Next up, 13.0 is policy review. The policies, and I will read them, not the entire policy, but I will read the titles of the policy. These policies are up for policy review. We've all had an opportunity to review them, not just on our own, but also in some cases, subcommittees. Any questions on the proposed draft policies, you will have an opportunity to ask those questions now, if you have any questions. And these policies include 13.01 JHDE, Behavioral Risk Assessment, 13.02 DLCA, Travel Expenses, 13.03 Section G and Section H policies, and 13.04 BBB, School Board Elections. Does anyone have any questions that they wish to have answered for any of these policies?
I do.
Okay, which policy?
Probably Greg. But while he's walking up, I want to thank Patty also for her work and her team's work in developing the new revised travel expenses. We had a lot of conversations about the need to update that, the travel dollar amounts and meal allowances, which affect staff, student, board members, administrators, the superintendent got updated, and so we're very thankful and appreciative of the work that was put into that to bring us up to a better compensation level for reimbursement of meals for many students who travel and teachers that have to travel as well. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you for your advocacy.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for your support
Oh,
and advocacy.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So Greg, thank you. My question, could you just run through, give us a general overview of Section G and H, and has there been any?
That's, Section G and H will be Dr. Cohen or Dr.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he was on there.
I think
I'm
they've done a great job.
sorry, I'm sorry. You're right.
She's helping you get those steps in for the American Heart Association.
There you
That's
go.
good, I could use them.
Okay.
So do you have questions for Dr. Bogus?
No, I don't. Bog, yes.
Dr. Cohen?
Yeah,
They're different
yeah.
guys.
Section G and H is what I
Any,
want to know.
before I walk back, JHDE, the behavioral risk assessment, any questions on that?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, Greg, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, sorry.
That's all right, need exercise.
Actually,
Oh, I'm
if you could, I'm kidding.
Now you
Okay, so my question, I'm interested in knowing if there's been any review of these policies besides just coming straight to the board first, if they've been routed to the variety of different groups that they pertain to, and what kind of, has a board subcommittee reviewed these at all yet or not?
Yes, so a board subcommittee reviewed them 3 years ago. They went back to MSBA. They've been reviewed by MSBA, their attorneys, tweaked a bit and sent back to us this time. A subcommittee of Jeffrey and Kevin and myself will be meeting for the next couple weeks, and then they'll come forward again.
Okay, so they'll be under review further before they come back to us for approval. Okay.
Correct.
The one question that I was wondering about is if one of the abbreviations, PS&C, and some of the, could be identified out so that people understand what those abbreviations mean in the policy, that's all. Okay, so that was my big question, is other reviewers that are going to be getting eyes on these policies. Okay,
You're in good hands.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Again, these policies are up for policy review and will be up for approval at the next regular board meeting. We have no reports tonight, no work session, and no special meetings. So at this time, may I have a motion and a second to adjourn the regular meeting?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you all for attending and/or watching.